Hey, what's going on, party people? This is Robert Jenkins, and with the North Star Podcast. Before we launch into the whole thing, I want to take a moment to introduce my new co-host. This is a gentleman that's been on the show before, and we decided that we talk about similar stuff. We were going to start another podcast, but we realized it kind of doesn't make any sense to have two podcasts where we're on there together, and then I'm on my podcast, and we talk about the same stuff. So it's like, why don't you just come over here and be co-host on the North Star Podcast? So this is Jeff Gerlach, and Jeff, man, tell him a little bit about yourself and do a little introductory thing.
So my name is Robert Jenkins.
Yep.
No, my name's Jeff Gerlach. Robert and I have known, gosh, how long have we known each other now?
It's about 10 years.
Yep.
We moved up here in 2010.
Yep. Met through the shop, and we started having conversations just on the same topics. And really, it's funny how things happen, because the one thing that's awesome about you put energy out, it comes back. It's something we talk to our kids about. You hang out with people that paint their toenails, you're gonna paint your toenails. The tough thing is that the type of energy that we're putting out, the masses don't seem to know.
Yeah.
And then of course when it's heard, and that's really what's really driving, especially your podcast, man. It's awesome. It's awesome.
Thank you.
So when you came to me and said, well, look, we were thinking about starting this podcast, and you were dead on. When I listened to your podcast, which are phenomenal, I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
What's we're basically going to do the identical show.
Yeah. What's the point of having two podcasts doing very similar shows? Yeah. And what you're talking about there, man, I think is a good segue. Of course, you got to talk about coronavirus right now, because that's what everybody's talking about, and that's what everybody's doing, and that's what's all in the news. But I'm gonna say, just for my part, almost from day one, I doubted. I had sincere, serious doubts about what this was, and I did a podcast. I think it was episode 18 or 19 on the North Star Podcast, and I call it the COVERT. I kept calling it the COVID virus. The COVERT, COVID virus. And the reason I'm saying that is kind of to be funny, but there's clearly, to me, I would say there's way more going on than the virus and this coronavirus. And I would say that ain't too much, don't too much seem to be going on with the coronavirus.
Yeah, we are running a massive propaganda machine right now. Huge propaganda machine. And the tough part is unfortunately, most people get their information from the TV.
Yeah.
And the TV is where they get their information from. A really good example, we were talking about this, is how I think it was a 4 or 5 month old baby gets reported as dying.
Yeah.
And of course, what the story says, well, a 4 or 5 month old baby dies. Investigation, they are investigating if it was due to the coronavirus. And of course, as soon as I saw that or heard it, I knew it. I'm like, uh-oh, here it comes.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, people are talking about it's killing babies. And, it's even worse now. It wasn't supposed to hurt children under 9 or under 7, or, you've heard all these different things. And it's like, well, hold on here. Let's just get some perspective. First off, unfortunately, there's a lot of young children and babies that die in this country and worldwide. Second off, investigation. Well, let's call it what it really is. It's a autopsy. They want to know, and which is pretty standard.
Yeah.
Now I'm not in the medical field. I didn't want to clarify that. We're not in the medical field.
We ain't giving no medical advice. We're just two common sense dudes that's paying attention and thinking.
Yep. And of course that took off within minutes. And I even heard somebody, at the shop, man, did you hear? It's killing babies now.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, no, come on now. We don't So we change words, so an autopsy becomes an investigation, and a 4 or 5 month old means 1 out of 327 million Americans means it's killing babies now.
Right.
And I do want to say something. I think you'll agree. We're not denying there's a virus. And we're not denying that.
Well, yeah.
We're not denying that people are getting very ill. And this is not, non-heartfelt, meaning we're not insensitive to this. It's just to shut down. If we're just the U.S., to shut down an entire economy, and for people who say, well, I'm still working, listen, this is going to reach out in ways that we couldn't even think of it of it affecting.
Right.
And when you look at numbers, it doesn't add up. And we're going to go over numbers, but it just doesn't add up to just shut down. Now let's go into the world.
Yeah.
We're going to crush a whole world economy.
Yeah. Before we hit them numbers, I'm going to just put my cards on the table. So what I think is happening is, and I had a sneaking suspicion probably from day one, and it wasn't based on anything at that point more than a hunch, but I was an analyst in the military, intelligence analyst for 20 something years, and I learned to follow my hunches. And the first time I got that hunch like that was when 2001 or so, a little bit after September 11th, when they were like, we got to go into Afghanistan because we think that's where these guys are, the Taliban, Bin Laden, and all that. I was like, okay, that kind of makes sense. And I constantly monitor the news, and all of a sudden one day they was like, so we're gonna be going into Iraq because, and I was like, as soon as they said that, I went, what?
Yep.
Huh? Well, that same what? Huh? I did that when I started, listening in the background chatter is COVID-19 called coronavirus, and there was a certain point when I went, what? Huh? That don't make no sense. They're shutting down the world, and that's what I think. That's why I was calling it COVERT. The covert virus instead of the COVID virus. And now other people are saying this too. It's the plandemic instead of the pandemic. I think that's a valid point, because there seems to be, all my analysts that I read, looking at places like Sovereign Man, looking at places like Zero Hedge, looking at LouRockwell.com, a lot of Austrian economists, looking at ShadowStats.com. These guys have been saying since 2009 that we never recovered from that. And really before that, 2004, when the housing bubble burst, we never recovered from that. So the economy has been slowly unraveling ever since 2004 or 5, and probably before that. If you really want to trace it back, I think these guys will tell you that we never recovered from the .com bubble. So what was that, 2001 or something like that? Or what was it? So we never really have recovered from any of this. And that's what this is a cover for. It seems to me they're bringing the whole economy down, and they can do it by saying, "Oh, it was COVID. It was COVID-19. It wasn't the economy wasn't weak. It wasn't us. It wasn't us bailing each other out and doing this and printing money left and right."
Yeah. Nope. It doesn't matter how so I 100% agree.
Pull that up a little bit.
We have to cover this idea of conspiracy theories. I mean, it's the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
All right. So conspiracy theories take fact and fiction and come up with some crazy ideas. Okay. But this is kind of the way I look at it. We need to use common sense, God-given common sense. If you're walking down the street and somebody comes up to you and says, you got a ducktail growing out of your hind end. Well, the first person that says that, you're going to be like, man, what the heck's this guy talking about? If another person walks up to you and says, hey, you got a ducktail growing out of your hind end.
Yeah.
Well, you might look.
Yeah.
Especially if you're walking down a city street, we all look in the glass to check ourselves out. You might be going,
suck it in, stand up tall.
Let me see. And then if a third and fourth person says it, you're probably going to look.
And if you don't, you're a fool.
Yes, if you don't, you're a fool. So we're talking about common sense stuff here. So when we start talking about numbers, this is what we see. Now, look, if somebody says, man, you know, my neighbor the other day, there was a truck pulled up in front of his house, and they were unloading all this stuff. And then another truck pulled up, and this went on for like 5 days. And, well, what were the trucks? Were they furniture?
Right.
You know, what was going on there? And then he says, and then I saw 4 guys pull up that were in vest and plate carriers, and they got out. Well, now your common sense starts to, somebody could say, oh, well, he's in the military. And, well, we all know that at somebody's house, you know, the point I'm making here is that at somebody's house, there's not trucks pulling in and out, and then guys getting out in plate carriers because he's in the military.
Right. That's not enough. That doesn't explain
you know?
that. Yeah.
So what's happening, money, all of that, there's legitimate numbers here that we can't deny, that your common sense has to take you down the path of, well, what is going on here?
Yeah.
You know, and we can call it a, you know, savings and loans crisis. You know, we can call it a .com crisis. We can call it a home mortgage crisis. It doesn't matter. You can put it in a McDonald's bag. You can put it in a Ruth's Chris bag. It's still the same thing, no matter what you call it.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. Well, hit him up with some of these numbers, and basically, what Jeff did, if I remember, I was on the phone with him when he was doing this, and he looked at the CDC website.
Yep. So took information right off the actually there was the CDC, and then there was the WHO report, so the World Health Organization, and that name just sounds so pretty.
Yeah.
You know, kind of like the Federal Reserve. I guess if I call my business federal something, it means it's federal.
Yeah.
It's government.
Yeah.
You know.
Like United Parcel Service.
Yep.
Sounds like it's real official.
Real official, man.
But it ain't.
Real
at
official.
All.
So now here's the thing. In the news right now, they're giving you cases and then deaths. And then they're deriving a percentage from that. But what they're not giving you is population. Which, you know, man, I can skew numbers anyway that way.
Right.
If I take cases and deaths and tell you there's a 12%, well, the mind, this is how you start hysteria. This is how propaganda is done. You know, if I just give you that number and then feed it to you every day that it's climbing and it's climbing and it's climbing and it's climbing, we could do the same thing with bee stings, with the flu, with anything, car accidents,
right,
with cardiovascular problems. And if we showed that every day, 24 hours a day, I guarantee you, let's go with heart disease. If we were given all the information about heart disease and showing the numbers and the numbers and the numbers, I guarantee you, it puts fast food out of business.
Yeah. I think I mentioned this once before on one of the episodes that we did earlier. I think that may not have gotten released, so I'll just kind of go back over it. But I remember back in about 95, the summer of 95, I was a bachelor, getting ready to join the Air Force, actually. And but before that, you know, young man in college, bachelor. So I was always staying up late at night, looking at the news and monitoring, just watching TV, really watching the world situation. And that summer, I think it was 95, they were talking about, man, we got shark attacks. And so it seemed like there was like, dude, every day a shark is eating somebody up everywhere in the world. You know what I'm saying? The United States, people getting ate up. Australia, people getting ate up. Britain, it's cold in the mug up in that northern latitude. Like, you know, sharks up there. We're like, dang, people getting ate up in Britain. Sharks is eating everybody up, man. They swimming up the Thames, you know what I'm saying? And then, like, months later, I saw another report, and I think I might even read an article somewhere about it, and it was like, actually, this summer, there were like, it was like 6 or 7 shark attacks in the whole world. And not only that, that was lower than the average amount of shark attacks. There's always about 12 on average every year, 12 shark attacks in the whole world. The whole world.
I remember this.
12 shark attacks out of 7 billion people. But it was a slow news cycle, so they just started reporting because it was like, oh, it was a shark attack. So every day they was playing up shark attacks, and I thought there were hundreds of them, and there was like 7. It was lower than the average. You know what I'm saying? It was just a slow news cycle. So that's the point that I think you're making there is like when you dwell on something and just keep reporting it, and depending on how you report it, you can spark fear in people, and I think that's being done on purpose to lock the country down. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and we're hitting, if you hit people every day with the fear of health, let's just pick one. If you hit every day with the fear of health, 24/7, and let's face it, this is 24/7 right now.
Right.
So you hit people every day with the fear of health. Maybe it's
pull your mic up a little bit.
Maybe it's tick bites. Well, what happens? It gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and people become afraid. And then you got legislation being passed, and then you've got all this stuff happening. Well, we've hit people in the three biggest areas. We've hit fear on people's money. We've hit fear in people's health.
Right.
Okay, so what pillars have we hit? Banking, food, and health.
Yeah.
If you think about
life,
it, our whole life bases off of those three infrastructures.
Yeah. Money, food, and health.
Yep.
That's it. That's life.
And we've hit everybody around the world, well, the three biggest economies,
right,
with all three of them. So we have created a massive distraction. And that's what I'm going to call it, a massive distraction.
Yeah.
If we want to run some big heist, what do we need? A huge distraction.
Look over here. Don't look over there. Look over here.
Of monumental proportion. And, I really believe that's what's going on. And we're going to give our opinions on the why of it.
Yeah.
But in the end, your common sense has to take you down that road, especially when you start looking at numbers.
Right. Hit them up with some of the numbers.
So numbers. So what we did here was we took China, Italy, and the U.S. Okay. So we took population, so total population. So China's total population, and this was based in 2017, 2018, 1.386 billion people. Billion.
With the B.
Yep. Their total number of cases is 82,802. And yeah, we're well aware of all the stuff about their numbers are wrong, their numbers are this, but we can ante those numbers up and still show how small it is. Number of deaths is 3,331. So if we do some math here, so China's percent of population infected. So how do we come to this number? We take the total number of cases infected and just divide it by the population. That means that 0.000059% of their population infected.
Right. Now, when that was so low, when we were looking at those numbers, I was like, what do you even call that? Is that like, you gotta remember grade school math. You like the ones, tens, hundreds, thousand. That's 59 10,000ths of a percent or something like that. It's such a weird low number that I'm like, I don't even know exactly how to say that number.
Yep.
59 10,000ths of 1%.
Crazy.
That's in China. That's how many people were infected?
That's infected.
Now, how many people died in China?
Now, and so the next number we came up with is we did two percentages now. We did percent of death that were infected with the virus. So you take the number of deaths, divided by the 82,802 people infected. That means 0.040%. So 4% of the people infected.
4/10.
No, that's 4.
This is 0.04%. Oh, got it. 4%.
So it's 4%.
Okay, 4%.
So if
of people with the virus.
I'm saying that wrong. 0.04, yeah, I'm wrong.
Okay.
Yep. So 0.04% of the people infected with the virus died.
That's ridiculously small.
Yep.
So 0.4% of people in China that had the coronavirus died from the coronavirus.
Now, here's the bigger number. Percent of death based on total population. And guys, you can check me. Do your math. I gave the numbers. Grab a calculator. Grab your phone. 0.0000024%.
Again, I have to. How do you even say that? Ones, tens.
I'm not even going to bother. I'm just going to give it that way.
10,000. What is that? What is that? 2900 thousandths of a percent. I guess I'm like you. 0.0000024% of people of the population died from the virus.
So let's put this in perspective. That if you were given a raise of 0.0000024% in your paycheck,
you wouldn't even be able to tell you got a raise.
It'd be nothing.
You'd be like, that's not even a cent.
If you were given a raise of the percent of their population infected, 0.000059%, you'd never see it.
And that jives with something else.
You never see it.
No, you don't see it, and that's the point. Doing some research, probably looking at articles on LouRockwell.com. The guy was saying that you can't even detect the excess deaths from coronavirus in world statistics yet. You can't even see a spike anywhere on any country.
Man,
Italy,
that's a good point.
China, you can't see it over
You put that on a graph.
Yeah,
it wouldn't even adjust that graph.
The normal people that die every day in a given country, city, province, state, whatever. It's not even raising up that number. You can't even see it there's no spike in the statistics of deaths from coronavirus.
And just to understand, we're not saying, look, people are dying, we don't care.
No,
that's not what we're saying.
That's how people that are intentionally dishonest twist your words.
No, and that's what's there's gonna be people that want to twist this. They're gonna, man, these guys are insensitive, man. There's people dying.
I don't want nobody to die, especially from a virus. Absolutely. But at the same time, do we want the whole economy of the world to die over
we're gonna,
a number that's so small?
Bingo, we're gonna crush.
I can't even say it right.
Yep, we're gonna crush economies. Which, look. Let's look at the long-term effect versus the short-term effect. And, I mean, look, it's what we teach our kids, pros, cons. That doesn't mean don't use common sense. Mm-hmm. You know, look, when I get sick, look, when my kids get a cold or whatever, we're not quarantining people off. And I've never even thought about the word quarantine. But, you know, when one of my daughters gets a fever, what do? She goes in her bedroom, and once again, I've never called it quarantining. Yeah. But she goes into her bedroom and she stays in her bedroom. Yeah. And we tell everybody, leave Sophia alone. She's not feeling good. We set up a tablet or a computer for her to, watch movies. She gets her chicken soup in bed. Yeah. The rules change. We're not allowed to eat in our bedroom. But, we don't want everybody getting sick. Exactly. Because it's a special. Exactly. And if I get it, I've had the flu twice. If I get something I'm feeling really bad, no, I'm not going to work because I don't want to infect people. And I'm in my bedroom. I use the bathroom in my bedroom. I'm not out and about through the house. I'm not rolling all over the place. And normally if I start feeling better, I take a day or two just to, feel better. But I'm still just staying to myself, Yeah. And so then we went with Italy. Because Italy's getting hit hard.
Italy is getting torn up, right? But they do kind of touch on this from what I've seen in the news, but I don't think they hammer it enough. And that is, you need to put that in context. Italy is getting hit because they have the oldest population in Europe.
They're a reality
by average. They're old. In other words, they have more old people or elderly sick people than any other country in Europe. They have heavy air pollution in the north part of Italy where those deaths are taking place.
Big time smokers.
They smoke a hell of a lot in Italy. So you got
Europe.
Europe is in general a kind
China
of smokers.
Too. China big time smokers, man.
Yeah. So when you factor all that into each other, all those factors in, and then consider the fact that most of the people that died over there, as far as I'm aware, are elderly people in the north. And there's another thing too, that Dr. Bill Sardi, another guy, you can look him up. He's doing some good research and analysis right now on this whole coronavirus thing. Bill Sardi. I always catch him on LouRockwell.com. But he's talking about the fact that Italy had a huge influx of migrants from Libya and from various parts of North Africa, because they're right across the Mediterranean from North Africa. And because of all that war in Syria and Libya and all that stuff, they've got tons of immigrants coming in. And those populations, even the young people, have latent tuberculosis. That is activated when they go to harsh conditions with poor nutrition, going into a place with heavy air pollution and smoking a lot. That activates that tuberculosis. And then you can't tell. You got and here's a key point. In none of this news coverage, when they say, "Oh, we got all these cases," they never key you into the fact that having a case of COVID virus doesn't mean that you have anything else. It means they can detect the virus in your system.
Yep.
So if you come over and you're from Libya or Syria and you're over in Italy and you're a relatively young cat and you got respiratory issues and flu-like symptoms, is that COVID or is that latent tuberculosis mixed with heavy smoking and poor nutrition? What is that? Well, and then you die, and you die with coronavirus in your system. That doesn't mean anything. Did that kill you? They don't know.
Right. So you bring up another good point here. So we've had, and once again, this is an obvious common sense path. Our testing, you got to start asking, why is it we have such limited inabilities to test? Mm-hmm. Now, look, let's just look at realities here. When did we find out about this? Well, what they say is December. Mm-hmm. But there is, and I'm not going to go into critical stuff here, but there is enough information out there right now from good sources that we go back into November with talk of even before then. Okay? So if we have all these herd excuses on testing, okay? But it doesn't matter. What matters is we don't have it, which is very interesting to me because some people will say, well, they don't want all this testing because it'll create a wicked mass hysteria, which right now, it absolutely would. If there was a full-on test right now where we could all drive in and this was like the flu or something like that where so many people are getting it, what would happen? The hysteria level would be through the roof. Now, there's another side that can say, well, we also don't want to have the ability to test because, well, it might just prove that this is like H1N1.
Yeah.
You know, which most Americans have forgotten about it. They don't. They forget that we had a national emergency on H1N1. They don't even know the numbers.
Yeah.
60 million Americans infected.
Yep.
270,000. And these are based on, meaning that the numbers that they give are really wide open.
But it's still CDC numbers, right?
Yes, they
CDC
are.
numbers.
So here's the other number. So we did going over Italy. Italy's population is 60.48 million. Number of cases in Italy, and just so today is the 4th. I ran these numbers last night. All right, so 60.48 million people living in Italy. Number of cases, 115,242. Number of deaths, 13,917. Now, if we go, their numbers are higher than China's. If we go with the percent of population infected, we're at 0.0019. Okay?
So the infection rate, I guess you would call that.
Yep, 0.0019. Then we do our percentage. Yeah, that is higher, but we also have some legit. This actually brings up another thing about China too. I'll get to that in a second. But now their percent of deaths infected with the virus is 0.12.
So that's straight up 12%, which is pretty high.
That's high. Yes, it is.
But so 12% of the people with the virus are dying from the virus.
Yes, and there is some more information that we've already started talking about.
Yeah, like most of them being 80 years old,
well,
heavy smokers.
There's realities to that. I mean, there really is. So, and then their percent of population death is 0.00023%. Now, we'll get to USA in a second, but let's go back to what you were talking about. So there are some serious realities. Like, here's what I'll tell everybody. Do some research on how many people die in Italy a year of pneumonia. Because of 27% of their population is over the age of 60.
Yeah.
Because of the heavy smoking. If just look the number up of how many people die a year of pneumonia. And listen, if you have pneumonia and then you get the flu on top of that, chances are you're not going to live.
I was about to say, you out of there.
You know, I mean,
good chance you're out of there.
And you know, that's whether you're in America or not. You know, if you're over 60, you're a heavy smoker, even not a heavy smoker, and you've got pneumonia real bad, and then you get the flu, you're going to be in trouble.
Yep.
I mean, it's game on.
Right.
It's not stay at home and eat soup. And look, I mean, I've had the flu, man. It knocks you out.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I was in bed for 7 days, and I felt like, I would rather just walk out in front of a truck.
Yeah.
Deal with broken bones than
Yeah.
have this.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
you put on pneumonia on top of that, I'm willing to bet, you know what, that'd be an interesting number to look up. A healthy 30-year-old male or female that has a bad case of pneumonia that gets the flu, the all-out flu.
He's gonna have a hard time, no matter your age.
Yep.
You're flirting with death the whole time. You're
so the point we're
death.
making here is that they're driving this hysteria without enough information. Well, actually, the information's there. We're just not getting it.
Right, and that's purposeful. That's why I say this is. I keep calling that covert. It's a covert operation because, first of all, you could just make the argument that the news.
Why wouldn't they?
Well, that's what I was going to say. You could make the argument that
why.
If it bleeds, it leads. So they just want to get ratings and they want to drive people to watch the news. But that's not the case. I mean, that may be part of it, but there's clearly more to it than that because they're shutting down the whole economy and they're shutting down, you can't travel. I literally, from my company, got my papers, my travel papers, and my spirits just fell when I saw that. I was just like, really? We have papers now in this country?
And let's talk about what we're really talking about. We're talking about breathing outside of your home.
You can't breathe outside your house. People say you're taking it too far. No, that's exactly what they're saying.
Yep.
You can't breathe outside your house. You must have permission to travel as an adult in your own country.
Kentucky's got people. They've got a couple people that they've wrapped with ankle bracelets because they've stepped outside of their home.
Yeah, people that got sick or got diagnosed with COVID.
Yep.
And they get ankle bracelets.
Yep. And if they leave their house, so they have a global positioning.
You're under house arrest. You're literally under house arrest.
You're under house arrest. And if you leave your house, 1 year in jail.
1 year.
1 year in jail. And so what's next? I guess if you cough on somebody, that's deadly weapon.
They've already started doing that. They said people that cough on these paramedics and the people that are disobeying, and if you cough on, they were charging them with terroristic threats and attempted murder and all kind of stuff like that. These are articles I've seen.
So I will tell you a funny story. So I was in the hardware store. We cough.
Right.
People cough, maybe you swallowed wrong or something, you know what I mean?
I know where you're going.
And I was standing in the line. This was the self-checkout line. And there wasn't 40 people in line, but there was probably 8. There was a good number of people. And I coughed in my shirt. Oh my, man, people moved out of the way.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Go ahead, man.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. You go in front of me.
Here, man.
And I literally looked around, and it wasn't one person. It was like everybody in that line backed away.
Wow.
And like, you go ahead, sir. You go right in front of us. And I was like, well, and I said out loud, I said, well, we do cough.
Yeah.
You don't have to be sick to cough.
Yeah.
You can
swallow
breathe
some spit
in.
wrong, man.
Yeah. I mean, anything. You could, clear your throat. Anything. And I'm like, all right, well.
Hey, what up?
Man, now in I haven't been to Disneyland or Disney World, whatever it's called in Florida. I haven't been there since I was a kid. But but there's this new pass you can buy.
Yeah.
It's basically butt in front of everybody.
Yeah.
And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, man, I could go into every store.
Yep.
And just cough.
Use your Corona pass.
Yes, I've got my Corona, my pass to go right in front of everybody.
Don't leave home without it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
So USA numbers. This is where things get interesting too. So, U.S. population is 327 million people. It's a lot of people. Number of cases 213,600. Number of deaths 4,793. And I have to say this because we live in the US, so we have counters now, live counters. Watching. So that would mean like they've got people hired.
Yeah.
Like with the phone, I can see it. Oh, we got another one. Oh, we got another one.
Yeah,
now he doesn't even. I mean, I'm making it funny here, but it could be. You don't even know why they died.
Yeah.
But we got, And the reason I'm saying this is people think about this. They are pumping us with so much negative so much propaganda that, I mean, they've proven this in studies. If I pump the same information into you day after day, hour after hour, minute by minute, the brain, it's near impossible for the brain not to focus on it.
And not only that, it's in psychology, it's well known that negative information commands the attention more strictly.
Yes,
you pay more attention to negative stuff.
That's why the news is always negative.
Yeah, and it's just common sense, because you need negative stuff is life-threatening stuff usually. So your brain gives more attention to negative stuff. Like, whoa, what was that moving in the shadows over there? You can see that better than oh yeah, I know that's my wife sitting over there in the broad daylight. I can see her. You don't think about that. So
So literally, we are commanding people through phones. I mean, look, my phone goes off all the time. I don't have it set up for this. Coronavirus report. Knew this, knew that. And think about this. We are literally feeding everybody's brains. So, guys, this is fight or flight. So what happens? You're walking down the hallway in your house and somebody jumps out and scares you. The immediate thing that happens, your eyesight changes. Your adrenaline pumps way up. And you freeze for a moment. You know, most people freeze for an instant before they decide what they're going to do, whether they're going to pop that person in the face, they're going to scream, they're going to run. They are keeping everybody with this total, everybody's, whether you know it or not, this is the truth about your body right now when you're watching all this stuff, and everybody's home, not working, and you type on the internet. I was looking at a rifle scope, and it had COR in it. Man, just looking for the rifle scope, it was pulling up coronavirus stuff.
Yeah.
So that means that, that's a driven...
Yes, that's the biggest search term.
Everybody's searching it. So that means your body is at a heightened state continuously. You go to bed with it on your mind. That means your adrenaline's up. That means that's where you're at. You're not in full fight or flight right at that moment. But, think about guys that go into the boxing ring, that fight, that go to war. Their adrenaline doesn't, they teach these guys how to control adrenaline. Their adrenaline doesn't stay peaked at 100. It comes down, but it stays there. Well, the human body can't stay like that. It can't stay running at that level. And what happens is that this is why they're talking about worrying about depression, worrying about all this stuff, because you can't stay at weeks on end. You can't
be in a fight or flight response.
You can't.
And when you do that, not only that, from my understanding, the fight or flight response, that heightened adrenal response like that, or adrenal response, that actually causes disease in and of itself.
No, actually, eventually your immune system comes down. Because your body it's no different than a car, man. Water pumps wear out, starters wear out. You can't, wear and tear. You just can't stay at that level. And, and if we keep at this level, and I've seriously thought about this, if we keep at this level, the health problems that once again, I'm not a doctor. I'm just using common sense. If we stay at this type of level, and let's look at it, man. These loans that they're giving are running out for 8 weeks. School, we're not opening back up for at least 8 weeks, which in reality, it's going to be longer than that.
I don't see how they're going to just say, it's over now.
If people stay at this level, I'm in my mind, I'm like, man, people are going to, I guarantee you, this is what we're going to see an increase in. We already know there's a major increase in alcohol consumption. So, and there is some kind of funny stuff to this. Like, I guarantee you, when this is said and done, the number of women that are pregnant are going to be through the roof. Because that just...
Another baby.
That just happens in the wintertime anyways. But I'm going to bet you we're going to see an increase in strokes, heart attacks. And, you don't have to have a bad heart to have a major failing of a heart. They've proven that heavy amounts of stress alone are enough. Mental shutdowns. Look,
suicides, basically.
I own a business, and I'm at the point now where literally I'm just, I can't run at this pace anymore. It's time for me to step back and get some perspective that it's either going this way or it's going this way. I do what I can to help control, but it's essentially out of my hands.
Yeah.
And I know that some people, man, it's not out of your hands. No, there is a big part of this that you got to eventually shut down a little bit and say, turn the TV off.
Right.
Which we don't watch it in our house. Turn the TV off. Don't pay attention to this stuff anymore.
Yeah.
Take care of your family. Take care of your own. Look out for your friends, and stop. If people can stop watching and start looking at good, solid numbers, it might start changing.
Yeah.
On these USA numbers real quick. Just wanted to run this through. So, once again, 327 million people in the U.S., 213,600 people infected. Number of deaths, 4,793.
And this is all from the CDC, by the way.
Yep.
So
this is from
World Health
CDC
Organization.
and the WHO.
Yeah, WHO.
So U.S. percent of infected as per total population is 0.00065%.
Right.
Okay.
0.000.
65%.
65 ones, tens, hundreds, 65,000th of 1%.
Yep. Number of deaths with the virus is 0.02%.
And you have to say with the virus, because I don't know if they're measuring if it's from the virus.
Well, no, you're correct.
We don't know if the virus is killing people.
Correct.
People are dying lots of times. Again, older people with more than one health problem, and they're dying, and the virus is in their system.
And of course, so I love the reports. Well, now actually, what we're showing is that males, and I'm going to make a little bit of this up, males 30 to 45 or 40 to 49, or we're actually showing that there's a heightened percentage in that. Okay, can we please do it per the total population here?
Yeah.
Can we,
Yeah.
Well, I'm 45 years old. And look, my brain went there.
Yeah.
I'm 45.
Yeah.
So that means there's something in me at 45 that's going to predispose
Some
me.
switch just turned on.
And I better, you know what?
Yeah.
Lauren, to keep us safe, here's what we're going to do. It's better if we just burn the whole house to the ground.
Yep. That'll kill all the virus.
Yeah, that'll kill all the virus. We have tents, and we'll live in the tents. But, better yet, how about this? If I put, grain alcohol on me, and you have a fire extinguisher, it's going to burn the grain alcohol first. So you just light me on fire. We'll count to 3 and put me out, and I'll be okay. And it'll kill all the virus on me.
Yeah.
And
which is you were joking, man, but that seems to be what they're doing. Let's burn this dude to death so we can burn the virus off of him. But you can burn him to death. What?
It's so population, number of deaths per total population in the U.S. I got to do this on my fingers. 0.00014%.
14 10,000ths of a percent.
See, the problem is when you say it that way, that can't be right.
That sounds like it's wrong. Are they really shutting the whole economy down over?
My mind is literally going
like,
Robert, you're saying that wrong, man. That ain't ones, tens. That we got that backwards. That can't. And I'm every time you say that,
it's so
I'm like,
these numbers are so small. I don't know if I'm saying them right, to be honest with you, because like you said, it's point.
Yes.
0.00014%. That is the number of deaths from coronavirus as a percent of the whole population.
Right.
In the United States. 0.00014. I think that's 14 10,000ths of 1%.
Yeah, somebody can tell us if we're right or
Yeah,
wrong. Either way, here's what I know. 0.0000 is a low number.
If you don't take a whole bag of rice, take 1 grain. If you got 100 grains of rice, well, listen, if you got 100 grains of rice, that's 100%, right? Take 1 grain of rice and split it into 14,000 pieces, and take one of those 14,000 pieces.
Man, the scale you would need to weigh that.
And that's the death.
That's got to be like, we have these nuclear clouds. It's got to be like a nuclear scale or something.
This is 14 thousandths of 1%. Yeah, I think that's how you say that.
And so here's this is what people are going to say to this. Oh, well, yeah, but see, the reason it's so
because
low
we're quarantining.
Is because we're quarantining. Yeah. Because we're all staying in our house. Because we're all doing this. We're all doing that. Well, guys, listen. This is back to the China thing. 1.386 billion people. Now, we're ragging on China. Western news, Western governments are annihilating. Well, they're lying. They're lying. All right. Well, you know what? Let's do this. Let me get the calculator open. Let's just, for the heck of it, let's just say that China is completely lying, and we're going to get obnoxious with the number here. All right. So, and I'll go along and I'll agree that China's probably fibbing. Okay.
Obviously, they're
and
China,
actually, I think the U.S. is fibbing too.
I think all governments lie. So there you go.
So let's just, so we got China and 1.386 billion on population. Oh, here's another thing we forgot about China. You look at live interviews from China at 3 or 4 o'clock. They have such a smog problem.
Yeah, it's dark. People
wear masks there on a regular basis because of their pollution.
Yep.
On a regular, and I'm not talking about there's 10,000 people, there's one dude wearing a mask.
Yeah.
I'm talking about a lot of people wear masks on a regular basis. And of course, what we've said is, oh, well, and we've been reporting this rhetoric since December.
Yeah.
That, well, those people are horrible.
They eat bats.
They eat everything, man.
Yeah.
If it's alive, they eat it.
Yeah.
And you know what? That market is disgusting, and the way they eat is gross. And those people are nasty people. And I've heard Americans, and I'm talking, it doesn't matter. And I will say this. This is crap. It is. It is crap when I see black, white, it doesn't matter, talking smack because they're Chinese.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, listen, if you don't have enough common sense to see through that, to see through they are making you think by the information they're giving you. I don't care if it originated in China or not.
Right.
Basically what's happening is, we're saying, I mean, if this originated in New York, what are we going to say? All New Yorkers?
Yeah. And here's the dangerous part,
which we are hearing, actually. We're starting to hear, well, this is God's punishment.
Punishment for, Yeah, that, and another thing, too, you don't know what God's punishment is. So anybody saying that is to me, they automatically discredit themselves. And what I was going to say.
That's a horrible thing to say, too, man.
Yeah. Because you don't know what's in God's mind.
Okay, what about New Orleans? Because what we've heard is, well, California and New York are getting hit so hard because of their abortion laws.
Yeah.
And, I remember the HIV virus. That was the big thing. Well, this is the punishment to homosexuals.
Yeah. That used to be a thing back in the 90s, 80s and 90s.
Yeah, man. I mean, actually, you heard that a lot.
A lot, yeah.
And what about New Orleans?
Yeah.
So what about the other states that? So we're going to say that the other states that have
cooking all that good food.
That's a horrible thing to say, man.
You know what I'm saying?
And
yeah, New Orleans. That's what's yeah. What I was going to say, the dangerous part about that though is when they start dehumanizing people, and like they're doing the Chinese, they always do that as a prelude to making it easy to destroy that people. So whether it's through war, whether it's through whatever, and that's what I think is the danger here, is that the way they're corralling us into shutting the whole economy down. Whenever governments start making ridiculous moves like this, war is not too far away.
No, welcome. What was that? Welcome to your 60 days of total dictatorship communism.
Yeah. And so when they're talking about the Chinese and everybody's looking down on them, that just makes it easier to kill them. When you go to Iraq,
they call them. I tell you what, man, I never thought about that.
Yeah. When we were in Iraq, people were using the sand niggers and all that kind of stuff like that. Yeah. That's what you do. When in World War II, they called them Japs and Gooks, and in what was that, Vietnam, they called the Germans the Huns and Jerry. Whenever you start talking about people like that, you're dehumanizing them, which makes it easier for you to kill them because they're no longer human. When you say it's just a fetus,
Yeah.
It's easier to kill it because it ain't no human. It's just a.
You're right. Huh.
So that's my concern, is that we may be heading into war at some point over this. But let's do this real quick. So let's go with the fact that China's way lying, and we're gonna say they have 1 million cases. I'm not writing that. I'll do 1 million cases instead of 82,000. So we're really up in the ante here. So increasing it more than 10 times.
Yep. And then we're gonna say their number of deaths is 500,000
instead of 3,000 and something.
Yep. So we'll do some math here real quick. So we'll take 1 million. 1 million divided by 1, 3, 8, 6, 13. 1 million, 13 million. All right, that's it, right? 1 billion. All right, so that would mean total number of cases per their population based on 1 million people having it would still be 0.00072%.
72 ones, tens, hundreds, 72,000th of 1%.
That's at 1 million.
If you assume that 1 million people, if they had 1 million cases, but they only have 82,000 cases.
But we're gonna ante it way up.
Yeah.
Now let's do 500,000 deaths. Well, shoot. You know what? The heck with it. Let's just do 1 million deaths.
So if a million people
die. Yeah, but why even do that? Let's do 1 million people die.
Yeah, if 1 million people died, in
China,
China,
0.00072%
of the population would have died from this disease.
Now here's another number I think is really good to do. Let's take the worst country right now, Italy, and let's run that on U.S. numbers. You following what I'm saying?
Yep. So we're going to take Italy's percentages and apply them to
run
the
that
U.S.
on
population.
the U.S. So we're going to say they have a 0.0019% of the population infected. So we're going to take 327 million Americans. There it is. And we're going to times that times 0.0019. That means there would be 621,300 Americans infected. Okay. Now, for the heck of it,
330 million Americans.
Yeah, for the heck of it, let's say 621,300 Americans die. Now, is that a lot of people? Yes.
That's a lot of people.
It is. But let's run that number on, so that would be, we don't even need to do that.
It's
0.0019%. Even on that number, you're going to tell me we're going to risk the whole livelihood of our economy. The whole livelihood of our economy on 0.0019%. That's never happened in the history of this country. And this is not the first time. We had a pandemic in the late 50s, which, by the way, was H1N1. Okay.
And that's from the CDC.
We had Spanish flu, which, man,
now, that was serious.
Yes.
Spanish flu. By the way, let's not call it Spanish flu because it started at Fort Riley, Kansas. And it was a result, most likely, of vaccinations. They were experimenting with vaccines. So it's not the Spanish flu. It's the Fort Riley, Kansas flu.
There we go.
Killed, 100 million worldwide?
Yeah,
or something
I looked that up. I should have pulled that up. But even then, and we were in the middle of World War I.
That was 1918. Yeah, this is true. Now, something I want to, since we've just gone through the numbers here, I think.
Did you see they've even started now? They've even started breaking this down to races now in this country.
Because they said black people couldn't get it at first.
Man, I started reading this stuff yesterday, and you know what's funny is I told my wife, I said, man, you really know it's game on when they're going to start. We already started breaking it down per country. Those Chinese people. Well, 2 days ago, I read a report that was off of, I don't know, Fox or CBS, CNN or something like that. And now they've started with the number of blacks, and I'm like, here we go. This is going to create, and understand something.
Yeah.
This is about creating division.
Fear and division. Division. So one of the things that we
You were military.
Yeah.
What do you do? Conquer?
Divide and conquer. Yeah. Yep. Divide et conquera, whatever that is in Latin. I forget what it is. But one of the points that we want to make here, that I especially want to make here, dovetailing these ridiculously low numbers that are so small, I don't even really know how to say them. Take those ridiculously low numbers and go to the real world. So we did the math on it. We did the hard science on it, as far as we understand it, using CDC numbers. Go into the real world now, and you'll notice that I was telling Jeff, I was driving. We just moved to an area in Northern Virginia, and there's a hospital not too far from the house. And I noticed a couple of days ago, it was about a week ago, I noticed just driving by, exploring the area, not even really thinking about it. I just happened to read the sign as I rode by. They have a LED minute by minute sign that says how long the wait time is in the emergency room, and it said 6 minutes or something like that, 6 or 8 minute wait time. I'm like, what? Aren't we having like a million? Aren't people dying all over the place or something? And I didn't think about it. But then later I saw a headline.
But Robert, it's coming now.
It's not here yet. It's coming.
It's not here yet.
That was still a week ago, and it's still 6 or 8 minutes.
Cuomo said that.
Yeah.
You're going to be us.
Yeah. But guess what? That hospital, this is anecdotal evidence, but it backs up these ridiculously low numbers that we're getting here. This is anecdotal evidence. There was I couldn't even see a car in the parking lot at the hospital. I was like, is it open? It's open. And they're saying it's a 6 to 8 minute wait in the emergency room in this ridiculously overpopulated area.
Man, the wait in the ER on a Friday, just normal. Man, I've been to the ER.
Yeah,
it's hours. And listen, I know people that are laid off right now in the medical field, in hospitals.
Me too.
They're not working.
There's not enough work. So
I had to take somebody to the hospital. They're dropping them off. Yeah. They're fine. They work there.
Yeah.
I'm like, where's everybody at? Mm-hmm. Where's all the hubbubaloo? Where's the, you know what? And I have to say this. You know what? I have to, because Malcolm X said this, and I loved it. We're being bamboozled.
Yeah, hoodwinked, bamboozled, run amok, led astray.
We are, man.
Yeah.
So, and something else I want to add to that. So, about a week ago, I heard they're coming out with this test. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is like it's football. Man, Tom Brady is coming in the game.
Yeah.
It's Tom Brady time. He's coming in the game.
Right.
It's the fourth quarter. There's 3 minutes left. We're down 64-10.
Yeah.
And Tom Brady's about to enter the game. He put his shoes on, and he's coming in. And this is a game changer. Mm-hmm. Self-administered test.
That sounds
okay. Well, hold on. Self-administered test. Which, you know what? Okay, I'm game. Self-administered. Well, what federal law are we gonna pass that's gonna make you take that? First off, you ever think about that? Kind of interesting. Mm-hmm. I know 3 people who are ill right now, and when I say ill, they're ill, and it hadn't been for one day. We're talking 7 days, 10 days, and this is what they've been told: do not come in, stay at home, self-quarantine. They've told them they will not test them. They will not test them. Right in Maryland. Mm-hmm. Now, wait a second. Okay, I understand. Don't come in and you're not going to be hospitalized. But I thought we had to get like something going on with the curve. Mm-hmm. Isn't numbers important on that?
Yeah.
Don't you need to know what the deal is?
And that's why I doubt the numbers, because
if they're not testing them.
If they're not testing them, then you don't know what the people have. And anybody that dies and you say they had it, just because they have the virus in their system doesn't mean it killed them. Once again, are they dying with the virus or are they dying from the virus?
And you know what? I know people are going to sit here and go, well, man, he's making that up. Okay, what do I have to gain by making that up?
Yeah.
I mean, really, what do I have to gain? Because people could go 2 directions. Actually, the reason they don't want testing is because they don't want hysteria. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's so many directions you could go with that if you wanted a conspiracy theory that one up. Mm-hmm. You know, the fact of the matter is, if they're being told they're not going to be tested, I can't really come up with more than one reason why.
Right. I want to go back to something too. Not only did I notice, like I said, the hospital up here is basically, apparently it's empty. It almost doesn't even look like it's open. And it's a pretty big hospital. It's not like a huge, regional hospital, but it's I don't know if you call it a regional hospital or not, but it's pretty decent size.
There's a lot of people around here.
Yeah, there's hundreds of thousands of people in this area. This area is crowded. It's overcrowded. But I'm not the only person that noticed this. In fact, and I'm going to put these links, all the links that we're talking about, I'm going to put them down in the show notes. But this, if you can go and look and see that there have been citizen journalists, just regular people walking around with their camera phones, their iPhones or whatever, going to their local emergency rooms. In some cases, people are going to the emergency room that they say on the news is the center of the outbreak. So this is where they're handling the outbreak at, like in New York and stuff like that. This is the epicenter of the outbreak. And they're going in and filming. There's nobody in the hospital. They got tents outside with nobody in them.
A friend of mine was talking to somebody, I think it was Massachusetts, and he was saying, I'm on the front lines. I'm seeing people dying left and right. And while I was on the phone with him, he looked up their numbers. And he's like, well, your numbers don't back that up. The hospitals are this, and I'm seeing it. I'm on the front lines. And, man, there's people dying everywhere. And he literally said, man, when I was on the phone with him, I pulled up their numbers. And he's like, there's 9 people. Or I think it was like 9 or 18, or it wasn't no, huge number.
Right.
He's like, well, so you're saying your state's completely lying? That you're seeing people dropping left and right, and you're on the front lines. And remember, look, you take a city the size of New York, you've created mass hysteria. You know this, and everybody knows this. If somebody gets sick, and remember, we're coming out of our flu season.
Right.
If somebody gets ill, what are they going to do? Fly to the hospital.
Yeah.
Fly to the hospital.
Right.
So if you do see lines of people waiting to get tested, that is people overreacting. We do get sick all year around. And, I don't go to the doctor when I get sick. I mean, I really don't. But this is where people are at right now.
Yeah.
And if we are getting statements of, but have nothing to back it up, slow hospitals, people not working, now I do want to say something real quick, because I do not, I know a lot of people in the medical field. This is not, what we're saying is not an insult to people in the medical field at all.
No.
Okay. As a matter of fact, the people that are actually working with people that are infected, and it takes a lot of courage. Okay. It does. So I want to make sure that that's understood, that we've got the utmost respect for them. And this has nothing, this isn't, these numbers and all that are not what healthcare workers are doing. These are numbers coming from smarter people than I guess we are.
Yeah.
But this is not a statement of anything negative involving healthcare workers whatsoever.
So I think the whole point of everything that we just kind of said here is that, sure, I'm not saying there's not a virus. I'm not saying, but then again, the corona family of viruses has been known about forever. So we got another coronavirus floating around. What we're saying, though, is I don't see the evidence that it's this huge, it's not the bubonic plague. It's not the Black Death. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? There's not bodies stacked up in the streets. Nobody is seeing bodies anywhere at these hospitals. So I think the only thing I'm saying here, the only point that I really want to make is, I think this is a covert operation. The covert virus, not the COVID virus. They are using this as a cover, I think, to cover up the fact that the economy never did actually come back, and that it finally is just puttered out, basically.
You know what? We got to take a little bit of time to talk about that. So we've created the pain, so to speak. If we're going to talk about this in marketing. We've created the pain. Now, here is some other stuff to think about, and I think it's important to talk about economy, because most people, we're Americans. We live our lives, and this is in other countries too. We live our lives. You go to work, you get your money. You buy your food, you buy your TV, you buy whatever, you buy your Nikes, you buy your lacrosse sticks, whatever. But
No. Only people in Maryland buy lacrosse sticks. don't nobody else buy no lacrosse sticks. We from Texas. Don't nobody buy no lacrosse sticks.
Football's in Texas. Football helmets in Texas. So I want to read real quick because I love reading about currency and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And I've been sending some stuff out to people. And here's what I'm going to say. I don't want anybody to believe a word I'm saying.
Oh, what do I know?
I want people to go research it.
Yeah.
Go find out for yourself.
What I want people to do is, like you say, research it and think about it and stop being scared and stop...
be a free thinker. Think freely.
Reclaim your freedom in your life, because what's happening, man, we're getting herded into a totalitarian police state. And, you have all these cats talking about, I'm a 3%er and I'm a this, that, and all my firearms and all my guns. They did all this. They locked the whole country down without firing a shot. They locked the whole country down and destroyed the economy. And all they did was say, it's a virus. You better run.
Yep.
They just whispered virus in your ear. Well, actually, they're not whispering it. They're shouting it from the rooftop. Virus, virus, oh my God, virus. Shut the whole economy down.
Yep. So I want to read this because it's something people don't know what happened. Not too long ago, when I say not too long ago, I don't mean 3 years ago. Mm-hmm. I mean like a couple months ago. Mm-hmm. The Federal Reserve quietly and quickly bailed out the repo market yet again to the tune of about $5 trillion. Yep. Okay, unnoticed. Mm-hmm. Unnoticed now,
because of all this.
And when you hear the repo market, so what? And what's the repo market? Well, the repo market is that world of big borrowed money, and then that big borrowed money has interest on it, and then there's money loaned on that. And when we do what we did in 2009, and we just give these trillions of dollars, and we do quantitative easing, and I think it's important. You know what? We gotta read fiat currency so people understand this a little more. What is fiat currency? And I want to read the definition.
And it is not money that you buy those little Italian cars with. That's not. It sounds like that, but it's not that. Trust me.
So so everybody understands, we use fiat currency, and then I want to read what happened under FDR real quick. I'll read it right out of the paper. So what is fiat money? Fiat money is government-issued currency that is not backed by a physical commodity such as gold or silver, but rather by the government that issued it. The value of fiat money is derived from the relationship between supply and demand and the stability of the issuing government, rather than the worth of a commodity backing it, as is the case for commodity money.
Right.
Most modern paper currencies are fiat currencies, including the U.S., the euro, and other major global currencies.
I don't think there is a commodity backed. I can't think of one.
I did some research on that. I couldn't find a single one.
And so to put it in layman's terms, fiat currency. Have you ever heard the phrase "the king did it by fiat"? That just literally says the king made a law out of his mouth. He spoke it into existence. This money right here, this is money. See this paper? This is money. Use it. That's what fiat means. It doesn't have gold behind it. It doesn't have silver backing. It's just, hey, this is our money and it's good because I say so. And people go, okay. Well, that's what fiat is.
Yep.
And
that's what our money is.
The dollar used to be gold backed, and in fact, in the Constitution back in the days, I think it defined what a dollar was. Pieces of 8. It was 1/8 of an ounce of Spanish gold coin, of a particular Spanish gold coin called a dollar.
So that's what our first currency, because we didn't have our own.
Right. So we were using Spanish gold, the
Spanish
dollar.
Yep.
Translated to English, or said, with the English, it's not a dollar, it's a dollar. And it was 1/8 an ounce of that gold. That's what a dollar was.
Yep.
But now there is no gold attached to it. It is pure fiat.
So we got to tie this in. So at one point in our great country, we had a real currency. I mean, literally, you had $20 of gold in your pocket. It was gold coin.
Yep.
Stamped, weighted, balanced, all that. And it says it right in the Constitution, just like you were talking about.
Yep.
And how it's supposed to be done, how it's supposed to be measured.
Congress shall have the power to determine the weights and measures.
Yep. Yep.
That's Congress is supposed to be determining how much gold makes a dollar.
Yep. And then in 1933, now this is right out of the. I wish we could show this, but this is right out of the right out of the history books, right out of what happened, right out of the newspapers, everything that was circulated. Under executive order of the president, all persons are required to deliver on or before May 1st, 1933, all gold coin, gold bullion, and gold certificates now owned by them to a Federal Reserve Bank branch or agency or to any member bank of the Federal Reserve System.
Yeah, I lost all my gold in a boating accident. That's what would have happened with me.
Yep.
I
Criminal penalties for
all.
violation of executive order. I think this is $50,000 or 10 years imprisonment or both.
Was that Roosevelt?
Yes,
under Roosevelt. So Roosevelt
FDR
basically
took everybody
money, all their gold,
paper.
Yeah,
and then they devalued that currency.
Yep. And the price of gold, they paid you $34 an ounce, and then after that it shot up, and they gave you paper back in return.
Well, here's an interesting thing. If you go look at the markets and all that, there was some interesting things that happened. Mm-hmm. Gold, silver, and palladium were riding the line where they were low. And the reason I bring this up is that when people say, man, gold's way up. No, gold's not up.
It's not where it should be.
Gold, remember, you're buying it with U.S. currency. Mm-hmm. So if gold is $2,000 an ounce, that goes to show you how little purchasing power the dollar has. Yep. Because $20 of gold is $20 of gold. Yep. But when you buy it on fiat currency, that goes to show you how little purchasing power. Well, gold, silver, and palladium were a line, and then you have to understand these graphs almost overnight, and I don't mean Tuesday to Wednesday, but in a very short couple years, it shot all the way up. Mm-hmm. Well, what's inflation? Based on what we just read, cost and demand, inflation is merely the increase in the money supply. Yep. That means it loses its purchasing power. Mm-hmm. And people say, well, interest rates. And I've never understood that. Because you look at goods being sold. Mm-hmm. I'll ask everybody, what did a gallon of milk cost in 2010, 29? Mm-hmm. What did a loaf of bread cost? Mm-hmm. And then what did it do over the next 10 years? Yep. It just went up and up. And people, I've made this point many times before on the show, and I hammer this home every time, is because this is part of being free. This whole show, the North Star Podcast, is about freedom. One of the main facets of freedom that we consider is economic freedom. Are you a serf, or are you a slave, or are you a free man, or a free human being? And the reason we are enslaved, one of the many ways that we are enslaved and not free as we think we are, is because the currency has been secretly devalued. Yep. And it's a hidden tax. Inflation is a hidden tax. 100%.
And where does it come from? I always point this out. Every chance I get, I want to point this out. When you get free stuff, whenever the government prints money to pay for free stuff, like give everybody free college or free Medicare or free medical insurance, whatever the case may be. Whenever they have a war overseas, they print money to pay for it. That is where your money loses value. Yep. That is why things cost more and more every year, because we demand more and more free stuff. And politicians love giving you free stuff because it makes them look good and it gets them reelected. They don't even control the currency anymore. The Federal Reserve controls the currency, 100%. And nobody knows about that. So they don't blame the Federal Reserve. They want to blame everybody except the politicians in the Federal Reserve.
And look it up. Federal Reserve does not mean government bank.
It's not the government at all. It's private banks. It's a cartel. They always say a cartel of private banks like Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Chase Bank. These banks lend money to the United States government for the stuff that we want to do that's free.
And we're just the collateral.
Yeah.
Income taxes, income taxes are not spending money for the government, okay? Because all you got to do is look up the average amount of money the government spends a year and the average amount of money that comes in from income taxes. The numbers ain't even close. No. And once again, we're just talking common sense. Yeah. If you can run your household budget, then you can look at that and go, Well, that's impossible. I can't spend, if my budget a month is $1,000 for my turnkey living, well, I can't spend $100,000 a month.
Right.
It's impossible. You know. Yeah. And I want to give a quick prediction here.
Okay, go ahead. Right. We'll close it out.
So this is my prediction. So every time we have these massive economic collapses, well, I'm going to say this: the ones we've had before, this is my prediction. They're going to make this one look like a walk in the park. And we always create a new government bureaucracy, you know, to protect us. Yeah. Well, I think the new government bureau, and we do it in fear. Yeah. We create the Homeland Security created in fear. How many Americans were saying, you know, well, I don't care if they listen in on my phones and my emails. I have nothing to hide. Yeah. Yeah, you do. You got everything to hide. And so there's going to be a new government bureaucracy.
That's what slaves say.
Yep.
I don't got nothing to hide. It's okay if you look at my private life.
Yep.
No, it ain't okay. Get out.
Yep. It's probably going to be called the Homeland Viral Protection Agency of Human Health and you know, something.
And they're gonna make it a cool acronym too, so you feel cool when you say it.
Yep. And then there's gonna be well, these are mandatory vaccines. Yep. We're gonna have mandatory vaccines. I'm gonna be very interesting to see if our healthcare stays. Right. Yeah, I think the healthcare is going to radically change more to government universal than it already is. Yep. Then I think there's going to be the currency is going to be fully digital, which we're almost there.
They're in that bill
and they're going to tie it into your. If you don't get your vaccination, you're not going to be able to get into your federal freedom account. I can see it being called that, your federal freedom account. Which is your money.
Yeah. They're in that bill that they were wrangling and haggling over a couple of days ago in the Congress. They were making a big deal out of it. There was a section in there.
We need to do a show on
that. We got to do a show on that. But there was a section in there that creates a digital dollar. So why is that bill trying to get passed during this COVID-19 outbreak when they're trying to do away with? Eventually, they're going to do away with the paper dollar, and they're going to have a digital dollar. And like Jeff is saying, they already do this in China. Don't say this is far-fetched; it won't happen. In China, they already have what they call a social credit score. So if you're cool in the government's eyes, if you do everything the government wants you to do, you can go to the good stores and get the good food and get the good products, and you get a little more money, probably electronic money. If you're a dissident, which in China means if you don't. You know, I don't know what if you don't wake up and say hail to the emperor every day or whatever the hell they have to do, you're not a good citizen. If you question anything, you're not a good citizen. You get your social credit score lowered. You can't shop at certain stores. You can't get certain goods and services. You're an undesirable.
They're going to tie this in the gun ownership.
That's what I was going to say. They're going to tie it in the gun ownership. They're going to have it. And this is what kills me with the mandatory vaccinations that they're going to try to push on us. Here's something I want people to think about. People are always talking about vaccines.
They're going to do it out of fear.
Out of fear.
You don't know what's getting put in them.
Yeah.
Not a clue.
This is what I want to throw on your mind, and we got to close it out because we've been going on for quite a while with this one. But just one last thing I want to put on your mind. You know, a mandatory vaccine is coming out of this, and there's going to be people who don't want to take this vaccine, and people are going to be like, "Oh, you have to take it because you're endangering our health and our lives." Well, let me ask you a question. What is the difference between being forced to take a mandatory vaccine that you do not wish to take and being raped? What is the definition of rape? It's when someone uses force or violence to penetrate your body in an unwanted manner that is injurious to you and that is not wanted. And usually to inject a substance into you. I don't want to get too graphic with it.
I get it, yeah.
But what's the difference between that and somebody forcefully making you take a vaccine? And they ain't got to, they will hold a gun to your head, but they ain't even got to do that. All they got to do is say, oh, you want to get this little stimulus check?
Take the vaccine.
You got to have the vaccine. Bill Gates already developed he's developing right now a digital passport that says who has gotten the vaccine, who's already had the disease and all that stuff. And what that means is when they say digital passport, that means tattoo.
Yep. Or
something that goes on your phone.
And what list do you think you go on when you get your corona test?
Oh, I bet you go on the good list. I bet you can shop at the good stores and get your toilet paper if you got to.
Tracking you by your phone now, tracking you by all of it.
Yep. That's what's coming, I think. And I think like I said, these predictions, I stand by what I say. I think it's coming. I think it's hard to deny that it's going to be coming. Let's give it a few more weeks, months, and years and see what happens, folks. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank y'all for tuning in. Especially we get together and get the yapping sometimes. We go on, you know what I'm saying? But I think this is important stuff to say.
Is. Yep.
And I think it is. So again, like, subscribe, and comment. We got the video here on the North Star. On YouTube, it's the North Star channel, North Star podcast channel. I'm on Twitter. I'm still new to this stuff, man. I'm on Twitter, and it's at North Star Rob. And
Meh.
yeah, and then you can and then you can check out the website. Hit us up we're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Stitcher, we're on all the major podcast distributors, and hit us up at the NorthStarPodcast.com if you want to click on some of these links that we're going to have in the description. So anyway, once again, ladies and gentlemen, don't let them lead you around based on fear. Stand up, do your own research, think for yourselves.
Yes, please. Liberty, man. Liberty.
Yep. And as I always say, I want to close out by saying I want to bid you 2 digits. And that's just simply my way of saying peace.
Take care, y'all.